My Lords, once upon a time, in a previous moral panic about children's safety, parents reacted to media and politicians catastrophising by stopping their offspring playing outside unsupervised. The unintended consequences were the creation of what became known as cotton wool kids, prone to risk aversion, anxiety, a lack of resilience and social isolation. Ironically, of course, to compensate, many of those children were forced to cultivate their activities online. Their social interactions became virtual. And here we are. I worry that we risk a similar unintended consequences now if we rush to pass this social media ban for under 16, so I will be opposing Amendment 94A. I know it's become normalised that whatever the social, cultural, moral panics we encounter, we believe we can legislate to make them go away. But I fear this sort of lawmaking can lead to evading tackling difficult problems, an attempted quick-fix solution that can too often create a whole new raft of difficulties down the line. I also noticed that the noble Lord Nash blamed social media for eating disorders, radicalisation, terrorism, mental health epidemic, ADHD, poor behaviour in the classroom, misogyny, violence against women and girls, and on and on. I mean, at this rate, all that Parliament would have to do is to just ban the internet for everyone and all problems would be solved. In fact, I think there's a danger of looking for easy answers and scapegoating social media for all society's ills. I worry about attempts as well to push this through too quickly or to fast-track it. It's quite interesting that the 3-week fast-track consultation put forward in the place has been discussed as though it's holding things back, even though, in fact, and the leader of the opposition, Kemi Badenoch, who calls it more dither and delay. Yet this proposal is new. It's only just arrived here at report stage, an amendment that will fundamentally change every citizen's relationship with social media, not just children's. And I worry about attempts at steamrolling it through with an assumption that everyone agrees, that it's so obvious and inevitable that there's just no point opposing. I am grateful to the Liberal Democrats and the noble Lord Mohammed of Tinsley for an attempt at proportionality, even though I don't think it goes far enough. But we're hectored that this is what parents want. There hasn't been a referendum of parents, there are polls, and of course many parents are pulling their hair out and will be tempted by it. It's so much easier to say you can't because it's against the law than it is to assert adult authority. Teenagers and children's pester power can be the bane of all our lives. If only the law could be extended to ban other things. No, you can't wear that hoodie. No, you can't spend hours gaming. It's against the law. No, you can't go on that sleepover. No, you can't gorge on junk food or go to that party. It's illegal. But in truth, this approach encourages parents to outsource their authority and shifts responsibility from parents to the state. All families ultimately are being told that they are incapable of managing their own children's habits, and that is a dangerous precedent. It can disarm parents in the name of empowerment. Is there really a consensus of parents on this? Because many of my friends are split down the middle, so I don't think we can claim the evidence is in. What about the incontrovertible evidence that backs a ban from science? Actually, the jury is out. It's much more contested than has been implied in relation to the causal relationship between social media and mental well-being in teens and young people. Recent extensive research by academics at Manchester University found no evidence that social media has increased teenagers' symptoms of anxiety or depression. Under the chair of the suicide prevention workforce, Professor Louis Appleby, points out that the evidence is at best circumstantial, noting that self-harming in the young began well before social media took hold in that age group, and that reflects my own work in relation to mental ill health and young people that I do not think can totally be blamed on social media. An Oxford University study of nearly 12,000 children showed no correlation between screen time, including social media, and mental health. Instead, the way in which children engage with social media is what determines its impact. And shock horror, in many instances, the evidence shows the positive impact of social media use. And the noble Lord Bethel, might say, as he did, that no more research is needed. I think that's anti-scientific and complacent, and I just don't think it's true. Let's be clear about what this amendment, as drafted, will do in relation to user services. And the noble Lord Knight pointed out the dangers to, for example, WhatsApp, websites such as Wikipedia and so on. I think that needs clarifying at the very least. But despite histrionic headlines, social media itself directly can be used for self-educational ends. There's a new generation of autodidacts who are teaching themselves coding, video producing, editing, even musical instruments, languages, chess. And I know that sounds rose-tinted and a bit glib, but mainly it can and often is a social tool for connections, finding your tribe, new friends, a place in which you can cultivate solidarity and autonomy as a young person, a counter to the social trends towards fragmentation. And what about allowing the young to explore diverse political perspectives? On the eve of 16-year-olds being given the vote, surely it's important, essential, we don't narrowly restrict soon-to-vote teens to state-sanctioned media channels. We want them to broaden their horizons, to explore and develop a democratic curiosity about the world, and they're going to do that online. Talking to school pupils, when I do often, I recommend they find out about their peers around the world. I think it's part of them learning about international relations. What civic lessons might British children learn by looking at those brave protesters in Iran, whose commitment to freedom has given them the courage to take on a theocratic Islamic regime, and whose stories we know because they use social media to organise, connect with each other and the rest of the world? That was, of course, before the Ayatollah shut down the internet. Oh, the irony. Also, in terms of safety and whether this ban will throw children off a cliff edge, I do think it risks not equipping youth with the skills to safely and responsibly navigate the online world, of knowing how to identify problems, spot dodgy red flags and apply strategies to deal with them. And of course, as the noble Lord Mohammed of Tinsley pointed out, in all likelihood, many pre-16-year-olds will find ways of migrating onto even riskier, unregulated platforms or the dark web without guardrails and zero moderation. Our teenagers, our children are clever, dare I say, devious. They'll find a way. They'll use VPNs, but it's okay because the noble lords are going to ban those too. But there is already a roaring trade in fake IDs amongst pre-teens, I hear. Finally, how will over 16-year-old adults be affected by this ban? Whereas the Online Safety Act age-gated only certain types of harmful content, by 94A would do so age-gate entire platforms, even when the content is child-friendly or harmless. According to Big Brother Watch, a 70-year-old accessing the neighbourhood news, a 50-year-old looking up the history of golf on Wikipedia, a 30-year-old small business owner responding to customers on Instagram, a 70-year-old wanting to message parents on the way home from school, would all require age verification measures. This is a threat, potentially at least, to adult civil liberties and the right to privacy, and effectively means we'll have to digitally verify to participate in the public square. I don't necessarily think that young people are going to gain from this, despite the hyperbole.